Today we'll look into another pattern from the family of factory patterns. Let me introduce you to the factory pattern itself. The problem we're trying to solve is having each burger be able to choose the right ingredients for the region they're made in. As a reminder, we're using the factory method pattern in the McDonald's store class, where create burger is the factory method that has to be implemented by each of the subclasses of the McDonald's store class. And in the order burger method, we're using the create burger method to get the correct burger type and call prepare and wrap methods on the instance of the returned burger. Last time we just printed which burger was created in each of the burger's prepare methods. Let's change it and start adding actual ingredients to our burgers. The first thing we'll do is create a new interface called Burger Ingredient Factory. It will have create beef, create chicken, create mayo, and create cheese methods on it. Since Python doesn't have the concept of interfaces, we'll just throw the not implemented exception in each of these methods. That will ensure that the classes that implement this interface will provide the implementations for these methods. The second part of the process is creating the classes for the ingredients. Let's take the create cheese method for example. We want to return an instance of cheese, but we still want to let the subclasses decide what type of cheese it is. So we create a cheese class, which is really an interface, and for visibility, let's add a name property to it and make it print what type of cheese it is when it is initialized. Now let's say that in all of the US stores we want to use the American cheese. What we can do is create a new American cheese class, inherit from cheese and override the name property. Now if we create an instance of the American cheese, we can see its name printed in the console. And we do the same thing for the other three ingredients. For simplicity, I will just add the American prefix to all other products as well. So we'll get the following classes: beef, chicken, mayo, and American mayo. Now we can implement the McDonald's Ingredients Factory in a class called US McDonald's Ingredients Factory. All we're doing here is implementing the body of each method in the McDonald's Ingredients Factory and returning the American version of our products. Now we need to make a couple of changes in the existing code to make sure our new factory is used. First, we need to pass in the Ingredients Factory implementation to the US burgers. We can either pass it into each one of the burger classes, but since we will need to use it for all the burgers and our burger interface in Python is just a regular class, I vote that we just pass it into the constructor of the burger class. This will let us not repeat ourselves. So we do that and store the instance of the passed-in factory. Now we can change the prepare methods for all of the US burgers to use the ingredients from the Ingredients Factory. On the US Big Mac, we can call the create beef, create cheese, and create mayo using the US Burger Ingredients Factory. On the US McDouble, we can call the create beef twice and also do create cheese and create mayo using the same factory. And on the US McChicken, we call the create chicken, create cheese, and create mayo. Finally, in our US McDonald's store class, we now initialize the US McDonald's Ingredients Factory and pass its instance into each of the burgers. Now we can modify our test code to order each of the burgers from the US store and see if our program is working correctly. And indeed, it does. Now the homework for you is to apply the same changes to the Russian McDonald's store class and its burgers and make sure that you understand what's going on. Or replace Russian with whatever country you want. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. Now my favorite part: the diagram. First, we have the abstract factory interface, which represents the family of products we should be able to create with it. In this case, it's product A and product B. In our code example, these were create beef, create cheese, etc. We'll return to those in just a second. Then we have concrete factories that implement this interface, factory A and factory B. In our code, we only implemented the US Ingredients Factory. A client can accept any class that implements the abstract factory interface and use it to create the products it needs. So we could give it either factory A or factory B. In our case, the client was the US McDonald's store, which used the US Ingredients Factory. Now back to products. Because we want different factories return different versions of products, but the same product types, we need to also create interfaces for all the products we want to use in the factories, and write implementations for each of the versions we want to use. Let's take cheese from our code example. We created the cheese interface but our concrete product was the American cheese. The client that uses the factories only cares that the create cheese method returns the cheese interface. It doesn't care about the concrete product type. And the same process is repeated for all of the products in the factory. It was surely a lot of classes and interfaces that we've written in the last couple of videos. If you need a break and want to learn something simpler, watch the next video on how to ensure only one instance of a class is ever created using the singleton pattern.